the beginning of this conversation was, but I'm just going to hop in here. Kevin was saying, the only thing that works for me is to see through like their manipulations, know that they are trying to push your buttons, and just don't let it affect you. Easier said than done. Yes. So the number one tool that we have in our toolkit is the tool of anticipation. And again, this kind of goes hand in hand. Past behavior is a really good indicator of future behavior. And so if they've been pushing your buttons, which is also referred to as like baiting or provoking, if they've been pushing your buttons in a certain area, let's say they focus on your parenting or your weight or, I don't know, where you live, these kinds of things. They've been focusing on that, then it can really help to just be like, okay, this is the kind of stuff that they focus on. These are my triggers. This is what really gets me going. And because they're so good at kind of sniffing that out. And generally it's because we're so reactive. So as soon as they realize, there you go, like bingo, it's that button right there. Once they realize the button that they need to push to get the reaction, then they continue to push it. So, but if you anticipate that, and you're, okay, this is where I'm hypersensitive, or these are certain things that I'm hypersensitive about, and odds are they're going to provoke that emotion in some way. It can actually, this is going to sound really twisted, but it can actually be kind of fun. Like if you can't go no contact, if you're forced to stay in communication with this person for whatever reason, if you detach from it and you really see the behavior for what it is, and you don't react, it is seriously like you're just playing the game. And it does take practice, because those reactions, I mean, they are reactions. It takes time to slow things down a little bit and actually get to the place where you can respond instead of react. So the difference between the two, reaction is like a knee-jerk reaction, right? They say something, and we all have it. Like we've all got our soft spots. They say something, and boom, we're like, we're saying stuff we don't even mean to say. We might even be thinking to ourselves, just stop talking, like like what are you doing? But that's that reaction. That's when we know that that's an emotional trigger, and to be kind of aware of it. So you're like, okay, this is an emotional trigger of mine, and this is the kind of stuff that they normally do. So to not be surprised when they do it, because it's sort of like, nope, this is just what they do. And when we quit expecting a different outcome, when we fully accept that this is just their behavior, then there's a lot of freedom that comes with that. It's sort of like Lucy and Charlie Brown with the football. Like, Lucy always promises to hold the football, and Charlie Brown always runs up and he kicks it, and she pulls it out at the last second. And every single time he's like, okay, but this time's going to be different, right? And she's like, oh, absolutely, Charlie Brown. And he's like, okay. And he does it again because he's paying attention to her words, not her actions. And now if Charlie Brown were to realize this is just what Lucy does, like this is, for whatever reason, hilarious to her. It makes her feel smug and superior. It's her way of getting power and control, right, over that situation. If he really truly saw that, instead of being in denial about that, instead of having this wishful thinking that maybe down the road she'll change, and really sees her actions for what they are today, then he can start reacting accordingly. Or I should say responding accordingly. So if Lucy were to say, hey, Charlie Brown, let's go play football, he can say, oh, you know what, not today, but thanks anyhow. And then go on his merry way. So, and that'll really throw an emotional manipulator for a loop, because they're so used to, well, I push this button and then you react. And if you stop that and you're like, no, you push that button and I don't react. And it's very, very satisfying to kind of see how they try to scramble and find other buttons to push, or even circle around and a few minutes later come back around to that button to really make sure, like, okay, this isn't going to upset you, like this isn't a trigger. It's interesting stuff. But yes, it does take practice. This is something that I encourage people to work on, at home or when you're driving in the car, like thinking about what they could possibly say, what kind of digs they normally make, what your response is going to be. So if they were to make some sort of comment about, your appearance or something, you're at a party and they make some sort of snarky comment, that you can kind of come back and be like, oh, well, I just see that you are as charming as always, and just not let it, just let it roll right off, And of course, obviously, like, this person better than I do. That kind of response can bring out violence in some people. So if that's what that would do, then by all means don't do that. But if it's, if they're just more of like the pot stirring, provoking, triangulating kinds of like emotionally exhausting narcissists that are like that, then, then that comment tends to not do anything other than like just really ruffle them, because they don't know what to do, because that's all they got. Lots of love to you guys. You are not alone. You are not crazy, and you really can move forward and heal from this.